Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Saira Mujtaba with the Midday News. The headlines. Discussion on budget underway in Rajya Sabha. Home Minister Amit Shah informs the House about the rescue operations in Uttarakhand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani through video conference. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expands his cabinet, 17 new ministers inducted. Uttarakhand Chief Minister conducts an aerial survey of disaster-hit areas of Chamoli. Over 62,59,000 people administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country. And India loses first cricket test to England by 227 runs in Chennai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding a virtual summit with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani. This is the first virtual summit of Prime Minister Modi in 2021. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Modi said in the last 2 decades, India has been one of the most prominent partners in the development of Afghanistan. He said today the signing of MOU on Shahtoot Dam in Kabul is based on the strong friendship between the two countries. The Prime Minister said several projects which India assisted in Afghanistan has helped in strengthening the friendship and has brought the two countries closer. He assured all Afghanis that India will stand with them. Mr. Modi said no outside powers will be able to hinder our friendship or affect our growth. The Prime Minister said India has always supported the peace process that is led by the Afghan government. He said it is very important to unite the people of Afghanistan, which will strengthen them in fighting any problem. In 2020, PM Modi held several virtual summits with his counterparts from Australia, EU, Sri Lanka, Denmark, Italy, Luxembourg, Uzbekistan, Bangladesh and Vietnam. Both India and Afghanistan share a close partnership. Amid the pandemic, India sent 75,000 tons of wheat to Afghanistan and was also able to send more than 20 tons of life-saving medicines and other equipment to address the COVID-19 challenge. On Sunday, New Delhi sent 500,000 India-made COVID vaccines to Afghanistan, making it the first country to do so. The virtual summit will see many announcements, including sealing an agreement on Shahtoot Dam that will provide clean water to 2 million residents of Kabul. This will be the second dam India will build in the country after the Salma or India-Afghanistan Friendship Dam in the Herat province of the country. The agreement was also announced by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar during his address to the Afghanistan 2020 conference in November.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah has assured that the centre is taking every possible step to rescue people and bring back life to normalcy in the Chamoli district of Uttarakhand following the destruction caused by the avalanche that occurred on Sunday. In a statement made in the Rajya Sabha today, Mr. Shah informed that the state government has said that the floods don't pose a risk to the low-lying areas anymore. He said the water level is receding in the area.
एनटीपीसी परियोजना के 12 व्यक्तियों को एक टनल के अंदर से सुरक्षित बचा लिया गया है। उसी गंगा परियोजना के भी 15 व्यक्तियों को घटना के समय ही सुरक्षित बचा लिया गया है। एनटीपीसी परियोजना की एक दूसरी टनल में लगभग अंदाजन 25 से 35 लोग फंसे होने का अनुमान लगाया जा रहा है। इस टनल में फंसे हुए लोगों को सुरक्षित निकालने हेतु बचाव अभियान युद्ध स्तर पर जारी है। साथ ही साथ लापता व्यक्तियों को ढूंढने का कार्य भी बड़े पैमाने पर किया जा रहा है। राज्य सरकार ने जान गंवाने वालों के परिजनों के लिए 4 लाख रुपए की सहायता की घोषणा की है। घटनास्थल के नजदीक 13 छोटे गांव से एक पुल बह जाने के कारण संपर्क बिल्कुल कट गया है। इन गांवों के लिए रसद और जरूरी मेडिकल सामान हेलीकॉप्टर के द्वारा लगातार पहुंचाया जा रहा है।
In a tunnel of a different project, he said nearly 25 to 35 people are likely to be stuck, for which securing missions have almost reached the end of the tunnel to evacuate them.
केंद्र सरकार द्वारा स्थिति को 24 घंटे उच्चतम स्तर पर निगरानी की जा रही है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी स्वयं स्थिति पर गहरी निगाह रखे हुए हैं। गृह मंत्रालय के दोनों कंट्रोल रूम द्वारा स्थिति पर 24 घंटे नजर रखी जा रही है और राज्य को हर संभव सहायता मुहैया कराई जा रही है। विद्युत मंत्रालय के माननीय राज्य मंत्री ने घटनास्थल का दौरा किया और चल रहे राहत एवं बचाव कार्य का भी जायजा लिया है। आईटीबीपी ने अपना कंट्रोल रूम वहां स्थापित कर लिया है और उनके 450 जवान सभी जरूरी साजो सामान के साथ घटनास्थल पर राहत और बचाव अभियान में लगे हुए हैं। एनडीआरएफ की 5 टीमें घटनास्थल पर पहुंच चुकी है और राहत और बचाव अभियान में लगी हुई। एक मेडिकल कॉलम और 2 एम्बुलेंस भी घटनास्थल पर तैनात। एयरफोर्स के 5 हेलीकॉप्टरों को भी इस कार्य में लगाया गया है।
Mr. Shah said as the flood washed away an important bridge in the area, connection to 13 small villages in the region has been lost. He said food and medical supplies being sent to these cut-off areas through helicopters. Mr. Shah said that as per the reports available till 5 p.m. yesterday, 20 deaths were reported. He also informed that 197 people have also been found missing, which includes 139 people working in the NTPC projects in the area and other 46 working in the Rishi Ganga project. Mr. Shah said the debris at the mouth of the tunnel has been cleared by the army after an overnight operation.
उत्तराखंड के चमोली जिले में अलकनंदा की एक सहायक नदी ऋषि गंगा नदी के ऊपरी जलग्रहण क्षेत्र में एक हिमस्खलन की घटना घटी, जिसके कारण के जलस्तर में अचानक काफी वृद्धि हो गई। ऋषि गंगा नदी के जलस्तर में वृद्धि के कारण आई बाढ़ से 13.2 मेगावाट की कार्यरत छोटी जल विद्युत परियोजना पूरी बह गई। इस अचानक आई बाढ़ ने निचले क्षेत्र में तपोवन में धौली गंगा नदी पर स्थित एनटीपीसी की निर्माणाधीन 520 मेगावाट की जल विद्युत परियोजना को भी नुकसान पहुंचाया है। उत्तराखंड सरकार ने यह बताया कि बाढ़ से निचले क्षेत्र में अब कोई खतरा नहीं है और साथ ही साथ जल स्तर में भी कमी आ रही है। केंद्र और राज्य की सभी संबंधित एजेंसियां स्थिति पर कड़ी निगाह रखे हुए हैं।
Mr. Shah said out of the 1,041 crore rupees allotted for Uttarakhand under the State Disaster Relief Fund in the budget of financial year 2020-21, the first installment of 4,068 crore rupees has already been sanctioned for the state to aid the relief work. The members of the upper house stood for 1 minute in silence to mark their tribute to those who lost their lives in the avalanche tragedy.
Meanwhile, Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat has conducted an aerial survey of disaster-hit areas of Chamoli today. He met the villagers and assessed the damage following the calamity. He also met the injured people who were rescued and admitted to ITBP hospital at Joshimath. Meanwhile, 31 bodies have been recovered so far and the rescue operation is underway on a war footing involving the military, ITBP, NDRF, SDRF and state police. Talking exclusively to All India Radio, Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority Executive Director Piyush Rothela said,
Around 206 people were feared missing in this incident. Of these, 31 bodies have been recovered and 175 are still search is going on. Army, Air Force, Navy, paramilitary forces, SDRF, NDRF and local administration are working to search these people. Of these people, around 35 are being trapped in a tunnel of a hydropower project that has been damaged. Rescue works are on and we hope that we will be able to rescue these people very soon.
We now go over live to our correspondent Raghavesh Pandey for the latest update. Raghavesh, please update us on the latest situation in Chamoli village.
Yeah, NDRF, SDRF, ITBP and defense personnel are engaged on war foot to search the missing people. Rescue operation is underway at the tunnel in Tapon area where around 35 people are feared to be trapped. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat conducted an aerial survey of disaster-hit areas of Chamoli district. He met the villagers and talked to them about the incident and the problems they are facing. Chief Minister assured all the people's assistance. Chief Minister assured all possible assistance to them. He directed DM Chamoli to ensure sufficient supply of ration and essential items to villagers cut off from road connectivity. Chief Minister also visited ITBP hospital in Joshimath and Chamoli, where injured people are admitted. He said that injured people have complained of body ache as they were hanging on the iron bar for 3 to 4 hours, feeding water and debris. Doctors said they will recover soon. Meanwhile, it has also been reported that DRDO scientists are undertaking a recce of Tapovan area and glacier. Yeah?
Right. Thank you, Raghavesh, for that update. In Bihar, 17 new ministers were inducted in the Nitish Kumar cabinet today. 9 ministers are from the BJP, while 8 are from alliance partner JDU. Governor Phagu Chauhan administered the oath of office and secrecy to new ministers at Raj Bhavan in Patna. Senior BJP leader and party spokesperson Shahnawaz Hussain is included in the cabinet. Independent candidate Sumit Singh is also included in the cabinet. Srimati Lacy Singh of JDU became member of Nitish cabinet. Janak Ram of BJP, who became a minister, is not a member of the House. Ministers from BJP quota who became member of state cabinet are Shahnawaz Hussain, Samrat Chaudhary, Pramod Kumar, Subhash Singh, Alok Ranjan Jha, Narayan Prasad, Neeraj Kumar Bablu, Nitin Naveen and Janak Ram. 8 cabinet ministers from JDU are Shravan Kumar, Sanjay Kumar Jha, Srimati Lacy Singh, Sunil Kumar, Madan Sahani, Jayant Raj, Zama Khan and Sumit Kumar Singh.
Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora and Election Commissioners Sushil Chandra and Rajiv Kumar will arrive on a 2-day visit to Tamil Nadu to review poll preparedness for the upcoming assembly elections in the state. More from our Chennai correspondent.
The full election commission will be landing in Chennai tonight. On the first day tomorrow, the team will meet representatives of political parties, police officials, district electoral officials and district superintendents of police. The next day will be a meeting with the chief secretary and secretaries of other departments and senior officials. The team will then leave for Puducherry after a press conference at Chennai. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
Polling has begun for the first phase of Gram Panchayat elections across 12 districts in Andhra Pradesh. Polling, which began at 6:30 a.m., will end at 3:30 p.m. Counting of votes will be taken up at 4 p.m. At least 43,601 candidates are in the fray for the 20,157 ward members in this phase. The State Election Commission has set up 29,732 polling stations, out of which 3,458 have been identified as sensitive and 3,594 as hypersensitive. The polls will be held till the 21st of February in 4 phases. The JDS member of Legislative Council, Basarvaraj Horati, was elected as the chairman of the upper house in Karnataka today. The ruling BJP, which is the single largest party in the Legislative Council with 31 members, supported the candidature of Horati. Congress member Pratap Shetty, who was the chairman earlier, had resigned on February 4 after a no-confidence motion was moved against him by JDS and BJP. Congress, with 28 members in the upper house, had fielded its candidate Nasir Ahmed, but the JDS candidate Basarvaraj Horati was elected by voice vote, with Congress members trooping into the well of the house in protest. On 29th of January, BJP MLC ML Pranesh was elected as the deputy chairman of the council with support from JDS. Karnataka Legislative Council has a strength of 75 members.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today heaped encomiums on Ghulam Nabi Azad, leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, who is retiring from the House on the 15th of this month. Prime Minister Modi broke down while delivering an emotionally charged speech showering praises on the prominent Congress leader. Mr. Modi expressed his gratitude to the retiring member for always prioritizing the prosperity of the country first. Mr. Modi said as a leader of opposition, it is easy to engage in party politics, but Ghulam Nabi Azad ji rose above this.
श्रीमान गुलाम नबी जी, मुझे चिंता इस बात की है कि गुलाम नबी जी के बाद इस पद को जो संभालेंगे उनको गुलाम नबी जी से मैच करने में बहुत दिक्कत पड़ेगी, क्योंकि गुलाम नबी जी अपने दल की चिंता करते थे लेकिन देश की और सदन की भी उतनी ही चिंता करते। ये छोटी बात नहीं है जी, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। वरना अपोजिशन के लीडर के रूप में अपना दबदबा पैदा करना, ये सब मोह किसी को भी हो सकता है, लेकिन उन्होंने सदन से, मैं शरद पवार जी को भी इसी कैटेगरी में रखा, वे सदन की और देश की चिंता को प्रायोरिटी देने वाले नेताओं में से रहे। गुलाम नबी जी ने बखूबी इस काम को निभाया है।
The Prime Minister said during the pandemic it was Ghulam Nabi Azad's proposal to call an all-party meet to fight the crisis as one nation. Reminiscing about one incident, Mr. Modi got emotional and choked while speaking.
सबसे पहले गुलाम नबी जी का मुझे फोन आया और वो फोन सिर्फ सूचना देने का नहीं था, उनके आंसू रुक नहीं रहे फोन पे। उस समय प्रणब मुखर्जी साहब डिफेंस मिनिस्टर, मैंने उनको फोन किया, मैंने कहा साहब अगर फोर्स का हवाई जहाज मिल जाए डेड बॉडी को लाने के लिए, रात देर हो गई थी। प्रणब मुखर्जी साहब ने कहा आप चिंता मत कीजिए, मैं करता हूँ व्यवस्था। लेकिन रात में फिर गुलाम नबी जी का फोन आया, वे एयरपोर्ट थे। सॉरी, उस रात को एयरपोर्ट से उन्होंने मुझे फोन किया और जैसे अपने परिवार के सदस्य की चिंता करें वैसी चिंता, पद सत्ता जीवन में आती रहती, लेकिन उसे कैसे पचाना,
NCP leader Sharad Pawar said Ghulam Nabi Azad served the nation with utmost sincerity in different capacities. The Rajya Sabha today bid farewell to 4 members from the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Mir Mohammad Fayaz and Shamsher Singh, who are retiring tomorrow, and Ghulam Nabi Azad and Nazir Ahmad Lawe, retiring on the 15th of February. In the Union Budget for 2021-22 presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the Parliament, the allocation for the Defence Services was increased to 4.78 lakh crore rupees compared to 4.71 lakh crore rupees in the previous year's budget. There is nearly 19% hike in the capital expenditure, the highest ever increase in the last 15 years. While presenting the budget last Monday, the Finance Minister said 1,35,000 crore rupees has been set aside for capital expenditure that includes purchasing new weapons, aircraft, warships and other military hardware.
Defence expenditure in the sense in the last 3 years has been accommodated. A lot of powers have been delegated to the vice chiefs who can take instant call on revenue, and some capital expenditure accounts were also, the power were also given to them to expend as is required by the situation. So for defence, we have not really undermined any of that. And one other thing was accepting in principle the suggestion that non-lapsable fund should be provided for defence, which was one of the recommendations given by the Finance Commission. In principle, we've accepted that, but what formulation that will take will be different. That is something which the ministries will have to work out as and when they will want to work out.
Our correspondent reports that the Finance Minister also announced a proposal to open 100 new Sainik schools.
The total outlay of 4.78 lakh crore rupees included an allocation of 1.15 lakh crore rupees for payment of pensions. Excluding the pension outgo, the total revenue expenditure, which includes expenses on payment of salaries and maintenance of establishments, has been pegged at 2.12 lakh crore rupees. In the budget, the Army has been granted a capital outlay of 36,481 crore rupees, Navy 33,253 crore rupees, and Indian Air Force 53,214 crore rupees. The capital allocation for Defence Research and Development Organization (DRDO) has been pegged at 11,375 crore rupees. The allocation for Border Roads Organization (BRO) has been increased to 6,004 crore rupees. With Dipendra, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani through video conference. Discussion on budget underway in Rajya Sabha. Home Minister Amit Shah informs the House about the rescue operations in Uttarakhand. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expands his cabinet. 17 new ministers inducted. Uttarakhand Chief Minister conducts an aerial survey of disaster-hit areas of Chamoli. Over 62,59,000 people administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country. And India loses first cricket test to England by 227 runs in Chennai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Joe Biden had a telephonic conversation yesterday. The leaders discussed regional issues and shared priorities. We have a report on the India-US relations.
The India-US relations have matured since India gained independence in 1947. The relations between both the countries have gone through various ups and downs. In the last 7 years, the relations have seen a new high. On Monday, 8th February, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to President Biden in a telephonic conversation. Both the leaders have laid emphasis on the strategic partnership to maintain peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. Both the leaders have also agreed to maintain a rule-based international order. In 2019, the overall India-US bilateral trade in goods and services reached $149 billion. US actively participated in the just concluded Aero India 2021 held in Bengaluru, which is a reflection of deepening India-US defense and strategic partnership. Not only this, US and Indian armies are currently participating in joint exercise Yudh Abhyas 20. In the telephonic conversation, both the leaders have agreed to further cooperate against climate change. Speaking to All India Radio News, international affairs expert Ambassador Meera Shankar said,
Prime Minister Modi had a good conversation with President Joe Biden. The conversation reassured that the US would continue its policy of building on the strategic partnership with India in the Indo-Pacific, and that both would work together to try to promote a rules-based international order, particularly in this area. There are other issues on which the two countries will also work together, such as climate change and reviving global economic growth in the wake of the pandemic, cooperating in dealing with the pandemic and future health crises. So there are many issues on which India and the US need to work together.
Prime Minister Modi has also extended invitation to President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden to visit India. Diksha Saxena, News Desk.
A total of over 62,59,000 people have been administered COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. The Union Health Ministry said in the last 24 hours, more than 4,46,000 people were inoculated with the vaccine doses. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 97.25% with a recovery of more than 14,000 people in the 24-hour period. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 1,43,625, which comprises only 1.32% of the total positive cases.
And now the latest update on the vaccine drive in different parts of the country. In Madhya Pradesh, over 3,77,000 healthcare and frontline workers were given COVID-19 vaccination so far across the state. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
COVID-19 vaccination drive for frontline workers began in Madhya Pradesh on Monday. State Health Minister Dr. Prabhuram Chaudhary informed that doses would be administered 4 days a week. So far, 3,31,000 frontline workers have been registered for vaccination, which includes officers and employees of police, revenue, urban bodies and panchayat institutions. Highest vaccination yesterday reported at Shajapur district with 73% vaccination. Meanwhile, state reported 193 COVID-positive cases yesterday, while 190 patients recovered from infection. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
More than 4,87,000 people have received the first dose of COVID vaccine so far in Rajasthan. Our correspondent reports that 8,640 vaccination sessions have been organized in the state so far.
Health Department is continuously increasing the session sites to complete the vaccination of health and frontline workers. The second dose of the vaccine will be given to the health workers from February 13. State government has also started preparations for the third phase of the vaccination, under which people who are of above 50 years of age and those under 50 years with comorbidities will be vaccinated. Meanwhile, normal life is rapidly getting free from the ill effects of COVID and life is now becoming normal. Business activities are also gaining momentum and domestic tourists are also arriving in the state in a huge number. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight, will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Director, AIIMS Bhopal, Dr. Sarman Singh, will participate in the discussion. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 1800-115767.
In cricket, England have won the first test against India by 227 runs at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai today. Chasing a 420-run target, India were bundled out for 192 in their second innings as wickets fell like 9 pins to some great reverse swing by James Anderson, who took 3 wickets for 17, and fine spin bowling by Jack Leach, who took 4 wickets for 76 runs. Virat Kohli scored 72, while Shubman Gill scored a swashbuckling 50, gave some resistance to the visitors' attack. In the Moroccan city of Tangier, heavy rains flooded a garment factory, killing at least 28 workers. The total number of workers at the site was not immediately known. To meet growing international demand, numerous factories in Morocco, notably in Casablanca and Tangier, rely on unregulated shadow factories to speed up production and meet deadlines. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for the day. In national capital Delhi, partly cloudy sky is forecast. The minimum temperature was 8 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 25 degrees. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be 34. Chennai had mist in the morning and partly cloudy sky later. The minimum temperature was 24 degrees. Maximum will be 31. Kolkata has mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 14 degrees. Maximum will be 27. Srinagar will have a partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Minimum temperature was -1 degree Celsius. Maximum will be 11 degrees. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 20. The city will have a partly cloudy sky. Leh has mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was -7 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 6 degrees. Gilgit will have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was -4 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be 17. Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky too. The minimum temperature was 5 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be 20. Chandigarh will have a generally cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 9 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be 24 degrees. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 15 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 30 degrees. The city had fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky later.
India will make up the biggest share of energy demand growth at 25% over the next 2 decades as it overtakes the European Union as the world's third biggest energy consumer by 2030. The IEA said in its India Energy Outlook 2021 released today that India's energy consumption is expected to nearly double as the nation's GDP expands to an estimated $8.6 trillion by 2040 under its current national policy scenario. The IEA said that this is underpinned by a rate of GDP growth that adds the equivalent of another Japan to the world economy by 2040. India's growing energy needs will make it more reliant on fossil fuel imports as its domestic oil and gas production has been stagnant for years, despite government policies to promote petroleum exploration and production and renewable energy.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani through video conference. Discussion on budget underway in Rajya Sabha. Home Minister Amit Shah informs the House about the rescue operations in Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand Chief Minister conducts an aerial survey of disaster-hit areas of Chamoli. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expands his cabinet, 17 new ministers inducted. Over 62,59,000 people administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country. And in cricket, England beat India by 227 runs in the first test in Chennai. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the Midday News.